Joining me here now on the Rich Eisen Show is the quarterback of the world champion Los Angeles Rams, getting set to take on the 49ers on Monday Night Football, Matthew Stafford. How you doing, Matthew?
I'm doing good, Rich. How are you?
I'm doing good. Are you gotten used to that, being referred to the world champion Los Angeles Rams?
Not really, but at the start of a new season, I feel like it changes everything for us. We just go back to just another team hunting for another one, but it was definitely a good run last year.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I am sure it was. And, it was, I imagine, a nice little wake-up call week number one, where you got to see right there in front of you what it would take to repeat, I imagine. Is that the way you guys took it?
Yeah, it was a tough test. Obviously Buffalo came in and played really well. We didn't play up to our standards. There's no question about that. But it's a humbling game. This game week in and week out, you look across the NFL right now, you see quote unquote, top tier caliber teams losing every single week. And the parity is at an all-time high. So it's something that if you've been in this league for a long time, you understand, and it doesn't surprise you. You just have to go out there and prove it every single week, really.
Yeah. And so what was that mini bye week like for you, sitting on that game as you did for a week plus, Matthew?
Yeah, it was, it's tough. Anytime you lose like that, you want to get back out there as soon as you can. But it was great for us to, have some time to reflect. We were getting, a bunch of guys back, kind of later in training camp. The one thing about going and playing in the Super Bowl is all those injuries and surgeries and things like that. They happen a little bit later. So it's nice to have a couple extra days early on at the beginning of the season to get guys back. And it was nice to, come out the next week and play a little bit better.
Matthew Stafford here on the Rich Eisen Show. So I'm curious, the play where Kupp ran it in last week against Arizona, was that the same play in the Super Bowl that you guys ran on 4th and short? I know it was to a different side of the field, but I'm just wondering, was that the play?
Not the exact same, but a similar type play. Yes. And it had a little bit of a different feel to it. We run so many of those motions and just kind of pick and choose our spots to hand those off when we feel like we get an advantage. And really the guys on the outside executed it really well. It was a great scheme with a little bit of a different feel to it for the defense, from our coaching staff. And then obviously Cooper did a great job of executing it. All I did was just run the 200-meter, nice little slow curve and, get in the front pylon.
I asked him this prior to the home opener, on Westwood 1 in the same spot that we're talking right here prior to your Monday night game. And I asked him about that play because you had kind of given me a little bit of a heads up on it when you were on the NFL Network set prior to the schedule release show, and you were kind enough to be the guest to kick that all off. And he gave me his perspective on how that play was born and almost never happened, and then obviously got uncorked at the biggest moment of your lives and careers on a football field. Can you walk me through your perspective on that big 4th and short play, Matthew?
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of hours put into that play, and some of them prettier than others. There were some attempts in practice that didn't go our way. We're trying to figure out, hey, are we going to be on my cadence? Are we going to be on the silent cadence? Are we going to be this, that, and the other? And just trying to figure that out, time it out as well as we possibly could. Coop and I spent a bunch of time talking about it and came to Sean and we're like, hey, we feel really confident that if you call this thing, we'll be able to get the thing done. And the timing and the feel of that play that we were able to get done really helped. And obviously in a huge moment in a big game.
Did McVay at one point say, because Kupp made it sound like McVay's like, forget it, you guys aren't going to get it, let's just take this out of the playbook and forget it? Did that happen?
Yeah, there's points in the week sometimes where he's like, hey, let's shelve this for another time. We got plenty of other good stuff. And that's part of being a great coach too, is knowing when to pare down and then when to trust your players. And he's got a great feel for that. And he was able to trust us on that one. And it was one that he felt strongly about. We just needed to find out how we were going to execute it the right way to make it come to life. And once we figured out how to execute it the best way, it worked out for us.
Yeah. And so what was it like from your perspective then for him to then, after that whole play's birth and then very, I guess, choppy maturity, to get that call in your headset, let's do that one at that moment?
Yeah, I mean, I had a feeling it was going to be a short yardage call in the game. I didn't know it was going to be 4th and 1 on our own side of the 50 in the final minutes, but it worked out. That's part of what makes him great, is his ability to trust his gut in those situations and and trust us players to go out there and execute it. And we were able to get it done. And it makes all those hours and all that time you put in working on something, when it comes to life like that in a big moment, it makes it all worth it.
So when I spoke to Cooper as well earlier this year, I asked him, since I knew you wouldn't, pound your chest a little bit about what winning the Super Bowl meant to you in your career, I asked him to speak for you, and he did. By the way, he spoke very kindly of you. So I'll now ask you about him. He won't pound his chest too, but a kid from Eastern Washington, nobody really thought could amount to much collegiately, let alone professionally, is now a Super Bowl MVP, and a guy who is a Triple Crown winner, and not your first, by the way, professionally, to be on the throwing end of it. What about Kupp and what he's become and your relationship with him, Matthew Stafford?
Yeah, I've spent as much time with him as I have probably any teammate in my career. I have unbelievable admiration and respect for how he goes about his daily business, the way he carries himself as a teammate and as a player. He's ultra talented. People kind of want to look at all the other things that he does so well, whether it be the blocking or the teammate stuff or this, that, and the other, and forget to look at who he is as an actual athlete. And that's a pretty special athlete as well.
Mhm.
But as far as his career goes, there's so much more out in front of him. To be able to get this done at this early stage in his career, I was just happy to be a part of it. I enjoy going to work every single day, working with all these great teammates that I have, but really enjoy working with him.
Sure.
And those days, however many, we have left, playing together, it's going to be, an enjoyable one for me. So I'm just proud to be a part of it.
And I'll ask this, even though their games are obviously in styles different, any similarities with Calvin Johnson and Cooper Kupp from your perspective, Matthew?
Two of the hardest workers I've ever been around. Two of the guys that just competed with or without the football as good as anybody I've been around, and frankly, pretty similar guys when it comes to who they are off the field. Really humble guys, come from really great backgrounds where hard work, dedication, being a great teammate are all those core fundamentals that were instilled in them by their parents, and just continue to show up week in and week out, whether it be in high school, college, or pro football. So lucky to be a part of both those guys' careers. Loved getting a chance to work with both of them. And obviously have quite a bit more left with Coop.
Matthew Stafford, couple minutes left with him prior to Monday Night Football against the 49ers. Man, it just seems that they're always there in front of you, right? This 49ers team 3 times last year. Now here you are in week number 4. What is the challenge that this team presents to you, Matthew?
I think they're obviously really well coached, both offensively and defensively. They're really sound in what they do. They're a big physical unit, do a great job of running around and hitting on defense. I know the challenge for us, just like in every single game, it always starts up front, right? They want to run the football on offense. We got to do a great job of stopping it. They want to penetrate at the defensive line spot. Whether it's in the run game or the pass game, we've got to do a great job of being the more physical team, on Monday night. But they're always a big time challenge. They've got great players. I mean, you look across the board, both offensively and defensively, they've got great players, guys that make impacts on the game. And it's always a battle. Enjoy going to battle against them. It's one that was new to me a little bit last year, just being first time in a Rams uniform. But the rivalry has quickly been ingrained in me.
I'm sure. And isn't it amazing? I mean, you've again been around this league so long where anything is possible, that Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting quarterback there still.
It's a wild league. It happens,
Right.
happens fast and happens slow in some instances, right?
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you just don't know. And obviously a really tough injury, for Trey, but Jimmy's a really qualified player, man. He's done great things for them when he's gotten the opportunity, and taking them to Super Bowls and NFC championship games. So he's a really talented guy.
Have you noticed the target on the back that all Super Bowl champs have, where all 16 used to be and now 17 opponents that you have treats you as if you're the figurative Super Bowl? Have you noticed that?
I mean, we've gotten great efforts against the first 3 opponents. There's no question about that. But to be honest with you, in the NFL, I feel like that's every week. I don't care who did what last year or last week. The teams that I've been a part of that have been successful have showed up every single week, understanding that and knowing you got to go out there and prove it in that 3.5 hour window. And if you don't, then it doesn't matter what you did last week or last year. The results probably aren't going to be in your favor. So that's kind of how we take it here, and just understand that it is a week to week business, as cliche and as frustrating as that is for some people to hear and understand, but that's how we have to live, because that's the truth.
All right. So a few off the map, as I always like to do with you, a couple for you before I let you go, Matthew Stafford. Do you talk to Stetson Bennett? Do you reach out to him? Do you have any connection with him?
I don't. I'm a
No?
fan. I'm a fan from afar. I'm not one of the better Georgia alumni probably when it comes to connecting with the players and stuff. I know more of the coaches. I'm the old guy that knows the coaches now.
Okay.
And some guys in the the front office type situation. But I'm a huge fan from afar, man. They're a really good football team, and they're fun to watch.
And again, you see what the kid is making of himself. I mean, the opportunity, because the conversation, well, you know what? He's not even in the Heisman conversation last 2 years now. But
Yeah,
he's incredible.
Yeah, he is. He's really fun to watch. I mean, he's just he's one of those guys that is really athletic. People don't give him enough credit for it. I think he throws it really well. He obviously understands what they're trying to get accomplished, play in and play out, does a great job of getting the ball to the right place. And shoot, he looks like he has a ton of fun, which is half the battle as well.
Speaking of fun to watch, would you use that term to describe Andrew Whitworth's television analyst career so far?
I think so. We were we were finishing up a Thursday practice. I was walking in to go go back into the office a little bit, and saw the TV, and I believe he was in Cleveland. Was he in the stands in the dog pound with a bunch of fans, a big bone out there? I don't know what was going on, but my guy was in a different spot than he was a year ago. I know that. So I'm happy for him, cheering him on, loving that he's doing well.
And no phone calls to him based with some of the banged up offensive linemen that you're dealing with?
No. We're set. I think he's set in his role. I still catch up with him, have breakfast with him every once in a while just to say what's up. But I think his playing days are done.
Okay. And what's the most Los Angeles moment you've experienced since moving to the West Coast? What is it,
man.
Matthew?
I mean, there's plenty.
You got one?
Just some some sightings, I would say, some people that I've seen, you know what I mean, where you're just dropping your kids off at school and you see some people that are quote unquote really famous and really interesting. 365 days ago, I'm dropping them off at a school in Detroit, and wouldn't have ever thought I'd see anybody that was of that stature. But it's been fun. It's been a whole lot of fun. My family loves it. My wife's having a great time. My kids are loving it. So that's really all that matters for me.
Okay. And you've picked up on when people say, let's hang out here in LA, they don't really mean that, right? Like, have you picked up on that? Have you gotten that treatment, that LA treatment? Have you gotten that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't have too many interactions with a bunch of people outside of football. So, but I'll use that one myself if I'm really trying to get out of something.
So hold on, let's try right here. Do you want to hang out?
Sure. Let's get something on the books. We'll hang out sometime.
It's like you were born here, man.
I'm the natural, right?
It's like you were born here, Matthew. You were born to be in Los Angeles. Oh man. Thanks for the time. Greatly appreciate it. Good luck.
Appreciate it. Thanks,
Let's talk down the road. That's Matthew Stafford of the Super Bowl champion LA Rams.